Hello, welcome to the start of a new video. So today, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about my December TBR because it's finally gonna be December. Not yet for me. I'm a few days away from December. And that means it's time for my last TBR of 2024. Yes, 2024 is finally ending. I'm excited for a new year as always. Who is not excited for a new year? That means some changes in your life, you're growing more. So super excited. And that means for me, looking up my anticipated releases of the next year. I've already been looking at those because that's my favorite thing to do for a new year. I just loved looking up all the new books that authors are coming out with, the debut authors. I love supporting them. And I've been looking at a lot of them for the past few days now. So probably going to do a video on some anticipated reads as well. But today we're discussing my December TBR. I like to do my TBRs this way, not the TBR jar or picking up my TBR card and stuff that way. I like to actually choose my TBR because I'm a mood reader, but I also love to have an exact plan of what I'm going to read. So this is just an idea of what I think I want to read in the next couple of weeks in December. So without further ado, let's begin. First book, My Darling December by Lauren Asher. This is, as it says, a Christmassy book. It's set around a wedding, that's all I know. And the main girl, her sister, is marrying her ex, and at the same time, she is a maid of honor for her sister. And it sounds messy, honestly. And the romance is gonna be between the main girl and the ex's best friend. So that sounds messy. I'm here for it. I don't know if it's set in if it's set in December or something. I think it is set in December. That's why it's called My Darling December. So I'm excited to read it. This will be my second book by Lauren Asher that I read because I still haven't read Terms and Conditions. So that's my first book to read in December. Then I want to read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. Haven't read this author either, but she's a well-known romance author. She has a lot of books. But this one, I wanted to read it because it has quite a few illustrations in there. So that's why I picked it up physically so I could enjoy the illustrations as I read the book. So this is like the first one. It's so pretty. And honestly, I don't really know anything about this one. I'm assuming it's like a grumpy guy in here or something because like, my name is still Christmas or something like that. So let's see what the back says. Yeah, he's sounding like a Grinch from what I see here. Oh, so it seems the two characters in here are competing in like this Christmassy competition, and that's basically what I got from reading the back. So let's see how that one turns out for me in December. Hopefully I enjoy it. So these next few books on my TBR are all, I don't own them. They're mainly on Kindle Unlimited. So let's go into the Kindle Unlimited category. First one, Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. This is a very popular holiday book that a lot of people recommend to read in like December and winter time. So obviously in December is perfect time because it's set around Christmas. So it is about these two characters. They're like friends. They're not bestest of friends, but they're friends by growing up together basically, and their family knows each other. They're like family friends. So yeah. But then the girl, she doesn't really care about Christmas, while the guy, he loves Christmas a whole lot. So they are trying to go back to Ireland and celebrate Christmas, but there's like a freak snowstorm that keeps them trapped in the city. I think they're in New York, and the girl, she's trying her best to get her friend back to Ireland so that he can celebrate Christmas because he loves Christmas a whole lot. That's what I got from reading the synopsis, and it just sounds so sweet, and like I'm gonna have a lot of emotions reading this book because it's not like it's a perfect rom-com book set around Christmas time. So that's why I'm excited to read it. It is very high on my festive TBR list that I have separately because it sounds like one of those Hallmark Christmas movies, and I'm here to read that because I love watching those movies. I want to also read A Novel Christmas. This one is centered around this author who's in a slump, and she is trying to get back her love of writing. So there is this hot firefighter that she meets in the book, and it's set in Christmas time. That's what I got from reading the synopsis as well. So I'm here to read that. It's not very long. It's like 256 pages. So hopefully one day in December, I just sit down and read it. Maybe like a day or two, just binge it and see how that goes. Another like grumpy sunshine book on my TBR is Christmas in Spite of You. This lady, she owns an Airbnb. Like, she rents out her apartment, but something happened where she ends up not being able to go spend time with her family. That was her plan when she rented out her Airbnb, but that changes. So she has to stay home in her apartment. And at the same time, the CEO type of guy, he booked her Airbnb and he came there, and she's telling him, oh no, it's changed. You can't stay here. But he's like, I have to stay here because I have this client that I really got to get this deal with. So they end up cohabiting together, and it's basically forced proximity, and I love that. I love that trope so much. So I'm excited to read that one. And I want to read the third book in the Lady Trent series. It's Voyage of the Basilisk. I don't know what it's about. I don't want to know what it's about. I'm just going to go in blind. I did love the first book, A Natural History of Dragons, but the second book was okay. But I still want to continue the series because I really like Lady Trent. She has a personality that I love reading about. So I don't own this one physically as of yet. It's coming in the mail, but that is Spin and Silver by Naomi Novik. I've always wanted to read Naomi Novik's fairy tale retelling books like Uprooted and Spin and Silver. I did start reading Uprooted years ago. I made it a good 50% in the audiobook, but then I got returned back to the library and I never continued it. So I have a good idea of how Uprooted went. But Spin and Silver caught my interest more. It's sort of a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and I just love fairy tale retellings. They're just so good, especially when they have a bit of romance in there, like a dear romanticy. So I got the idea that this is like that, and I don't know if the king in here is a fairy king, but he's described as being more ice than flesh, and there's like these little fairy-like creatures in the book as well. But the main girl, she's rumored to be able to turn silver into gold, and that is why she caught the attention of the king. And I guess she ends up having to stay with that king for a while. I don't know too much details, but I've always wanted to read this book, and I think it's perfect to read it in December because it has like this wintry feel to it. So that's why I want to pick it up in December. It's also getting really cold here in Florida. It's been hitting the 60s and 70s constantly each day, and I love that so much. It's sweater weather time for me, and I love sweaters, so I'm enjoying that. And back onto physical now. I want to finally read Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I did get the Arc of Immortal, her newest release coming out in January, that is related to this world. I don't know if I'm going to read the second book in the series. Everyone that read it said that it's not as great and that you can read this as a standalone. So I'm going to read this, see if it's perfect as a standalone. Even if it's not, I probably won't continue the second book anyways if I know it's going to be disappointed because I don't really care to continue the series. I just like reading. So for most books, I don't really care too much to continue on the people's stories. Only like once in a while, I'll get that book where I really want to know every single detail. I will read 1,000 pages of their lives because I love them so much. But most of the books I read in my life, I don't really care that much. I just read them for entertainment, like watching a TV show. So that's how books are for me. But Daughter of the Moon Goddess is also something I don't know about. I know that the girl, she's obviously the daughter of a moon goddess, and her mom basically did something wrong and she got captured, but she sent her daughter away, and her daughter has to hide away. And I guess she gets into some type of competition. She meets a prince and some other guy. It does have a bit of love triangle in here, I hear, but I still want to read it because it just looks very whimsical. And I love reading books that are like, they are centered around Asian mythologies because they read like Asian dramas, and I love watching those historical Asian dramas. So therefore, I also love reading them. So that's why I want to pick this one up. I've also been enjoying this Chinese drama recently, and it's got me in the mood to read something similar to those vibes. Then I got Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I did read Caraval last month. I planned to read Legendary in November, but I didn't get around to it, so I'm saving it for December instead. And this one now, it's focused on a different character than the one in Caraval, and I'm excited to see her story. And then I have these last two by the same author. So first up, Paranasi by Savannah Clark, and then The Wood at Midwinter. This one is a short story. It's basically 60 pages. It's full of illustrations, so there's not much words in here. But Paranasi, I have no clue about, but I have a strong feeling that it's going to be a 5-star. That's why I'm picking it up in December. I don't know why. It just has a vibe. Based on reading the synopsis, which is very vague, I think I'm going to love it. I think I'm going to love it. I think I'm going to love the writing style. I'm going to love the characters. I'm going to love the story it has to tell. So that is why I saved it last for this month, because I want a really good 5-star fantasy book, and this feels like it will be that. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing myself and it's not that, but hopefully it is a new 5-star fave. So yeah, these are all the books I plan to read in December. Hopefully I read them all, but you know me, I might change up one or two on the TBR and read something else. So, I did mention that I had a separate festive TBR that is basically for December and January wintry books that are most like focused on the holiday season. I think that's the perfect timing to read these because it is quite a few books. So it's mainly some novellas and shorter stories. They're all romances, and because I can't read romances back to back, I try to put a lot of fantasy type of books in my December TBR to have like that space where I read something else that aren't just modern contemporary books. So yeah, I did mention quite a few of them, like Christmas Inspired of You and A Noble Christmas, Holiday Romance, My December Darling. I've already read Love Life Farms and Holiday Hideaway. Those two were a good 3-star for me, but they were pretty cute still. So I have these to read next in the next few days, and I really want to read this one. It sounds funny, so that's why I put it on there. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. It sounds unique and just cool, so I'm hoping to read that one soon. And I've had my eye on I'll Be Gone for Christmas for quite a while as well, so I'm excited to read that one. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching my December TBR. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.